Hey guys, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2. We wanted to start this video by just letting you know I've installed a couple of mods here, and the beginning of the video will walk you through what those mods can do. I'm just going to go ahead and click this button here in the main menu, and we're going to see that I've added a few mods here that I think is going to really improve our quality of life in the game. I think there are some others that are pretty good candidates, but I'm trying to be cautious, not adding everything in the world, because with my extensive KSP modding experiences with KSP1 and trying to do a video series with that game, I know that any type of mod update or any type of game update, specifically in early access too, is going to lead to major issues with compatibility and stuff, and could potentially even just flat out mess up your game. So I'm being very cautious at the start here. We got community fixes, alarm clock, and maneuver node controller. I'm going to walk you through what those things are. Community fixes mostly is just having a whole bunch of like community members bringing together different bugs and trying to fix them. So this one here I think is just a pretty good one to have because as bugs get fixed, we have more stability in the game, at least hopefully. Some of these mods like alarm clock and maneuver node and community fixes, that's the three that I've installed. They have certain dependencies and such. So we need to install node manager, we need to install patch manager, and then also space warp, configuration manager, and UITK for KSP2. Most of these things are installed for you automatically when you go through CCAN. Highly recommend using CCAN. It's fully compatible with this game. You just select the ones you want, and it will be like, okay, you want those, but you need these too, and then it will just, install them for you too. So alarm clock manager and maneuver node controller. Let's go ahead and talk about those and why they are, I don't know about essential for a good experience in the game, but I think they're going to really help out. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so we begin our little new mods walkthrough here with our spacecraft or Joule. At the moment, I've got a maneuver planned in the future for this craft that's going to alter my inclination to where I'm more equatorial. I've done this by selecting Lathe as the target and then finding the ascending node or the descending node. I forget which one it was. And then I went ahead and I think it's the ascending node because I'm going to be burning down here. So yeah, I went to that node and then I made my corrections there so that I can get my plane to be, my inclination to be the same as Lathe. Okay. And that maneuver is in like 21 days. All right, there's the burn timer right there. T-minus 21 days is when this is. Now, I don't want to miss this. I've got other things going on around here, and I don't want to miss this burn. So as we get more and more crafts out in space, it becomes necessary to either wrap up everything and make sure everything is stable before you move on to the next thing, or you can implement an alarm clock for yourself. And so that's what I've done here. The alarm clock mod is going to help me do that. All I have to do is with the active craft, I go into the plus sign and I say maneuver, and it will add an alarm for the maneuver that's right here. Now, I don't know whether or not this thing is going to add this alarm to be exactly on the burn time, or if it's going to give me a little bit of leeway. I don't really know how that works. This is a brand new mod, so I have to see how that works. But there we go. That's one way we're going to use the alarm clock, is for setting up times for our maneuvers. The second way to use the alarm clock that I'm going to do, I have like basically three different ways I'm going to use alarm clocks. So we're going to focus on our Eve station craft. Here it is. This is the one that's on its way to Eve. We did this last video. If I hit control on this, we can see that this vessel is going to make a rendezvous with Eve over here. We're going to be changing spheres of influence. And rather than trying to time that out and see how long that is, I can go down to my alarm clock. I can say I want to change, I want to have an alarm clock for the sphere of influence change. And just like that, we now have another alarm clock for Eve Station, which is going to arrive on year 7, day 197 at 02 hours, 19 minutes, and 37 seconds. Okay. And that's another alarm for that. So we have these two alarms in place. Presumably, if we are time accelerating at rapid pace, and one of these alarms triggers, it will stop our time acceleration and warn us what it is, and it gives us time to then move over to that thing and do the thing we want to do. Again, I don't know how much like cushion there is there, if it's going to give us a couple seconds or a couple minutes before that time or whatever. I don't remember. I didn't read that in the mods documentation, but we'll experience it here in our game, so it's fine. The last thing I need to do with the alarm clock, or another cool thing to do with the alarm clock, is to trigger or I guess to save transfer windows that we might want to implement. So we also have our crew over on Duna, as you know, and we want to get them home to Kerbin, which is right here. Okay, so we want these guys to be lined up appropriately so that we can minimize how much delta V we need and maximize our chances of getting captured by Kerbin. So that's another thing we could do with alarm clock. We can simply say transfer window, and we can say from where to where. In this case, we have from Duna to Kerbin, and we want to confirm that. And there we go. So now this is going to happen in year 9, day 376. And there we go. So now we have an alarm for that transfer window. So we know when we want to make that burn and get going with that when the alarm clock goes off, which I think is pretty neat. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to look at for mods, and then I'll come back in and start doing the missions that we're going to do today and stuff. Let's go ahead and recontrol our Joule sat. And so this is our satellite around Joule again. And we can see our maneuver. And one of the things that we've always had to do up until this point is we always have to figure out where the hell this thing is. No matter where we are on the map, especially when we're going from one body to another, we have to try to find out, you know, like, let's say I was transferring to a planet over here. I'd have to open this up, or I'd have to focus on, like, say, pole. I'd focus on that, and then this thing closes on me, and I have to go over there and, like, where is it? Or it's over there now, and I have to only control it from this point, and I can see where I am, but I always have to have this in vision, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. If I ever click off of it, I have to go over and find it again, right? We've seen that happen numerous times. And so what we're going to do with this new mod, this is called Maneuver Node Controller. You can control multiple maneuvers here, cycle through different maneuvers if you have them on your craft, but it tells you everything about the maneuver that you have and allows you to fine-tune and tweak it in real time, which is nice. And the best part about this is it stays on the screen regardless of where I go, and it's always affecting the node that I've selected. So in this case, there's only one node, so it'd be node 1 of 1. If I made a node further down the line here, I would then be able to modify this node if I want to as well, and I could go back and forth with that, but it doesn't look like I can do that in the future, which is interesting. I thought I'd be able to, you know what, maybe it's only possible to do that if I add it from this screen. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's a second node, and then I can adjust that second node. I haven't done it yet, so that's interesting. So if I move this now to be over here, now there's 2 maneuvers. I can have a different node and adjust that one if I want to as well. Yeah, so this one's getting adjusted now, you can see, right? So we have all these different things. And so what I could do is flip between the 2 of them now and make sure that I'm adjusting the right one. But in this case, I'm just going to delete this one and focus on the one I have. So if I wanted to burn a little bit more prograde, maybe I wanted to fine tune this a little bit further, I could just say, I want to burn a little bit prograde. There's a small step, a large step, and an absolute. So for the absolute DV, we have 0. And that's basically a good way of just, you know, resetting it. So let's say radial DV right now for this burn, I'm going radial by negative 39.95. That's basically 40. And that's how I'm going to achieve this. All right. So to do that, I'm burning radial in, radial out, right here. So let's say I go and absolute that. That's going to turn that to 0. And because of that, we now have a new burn that's going to take place here. Okay. I can go up with small steps or large steps. So with radial, I can go up with a large step to 25. And then I can go small step 30, 35, 40. And that's basically the same burn that I just did. It tells me how long it's going to take to burn. I can also snap to various different points, so I don't have to like find that spot. I could say, I want to burn at the apoapsis, and it'll just do that, right? So it snaps the maneuver to these particular points. And then again, we can go in with small steps and large steps in time as well to move it along the period here. So there's a lot of things that this tool does that I really like, especially showing me the start time, how much delta V it's going to take, and how much is remaining in the burn that's active. So if I'm currently burning, maybe it's a long burn or something, it would show me how much is remaining. It also shows me what my current orbit is and what it will be when I'm done. So both of these things are also really nice to have. And so I can see that my inclination right now is 16.7 degrees, but when I'm done, the inclination will be just 1.2 degrees. And yeah, so there you go. And if I wanted it to be completely flat with lathe, as you can see, there is still a little bit there, right? Then I could tweak this stuff to try to get it to be at 0, right? So if I went up a little bit here, that's going to make it at 1.0. And then if I keep going up, now I'm going to go back down. So I'm going to have to go the other direction. And I could tweak these things until I can get those values to be correct. Maybe I just go straight to the ascending node. So it has to tweak it just a little bit, right? And maybe lathes, maybe lathe inclination is not exactly 0. Maybe it's off by like 1 degree. It doesn't look like I'm going to be exactly on it. So I could tweak that until I am. And that's how you could use this tool. So it's a really helpful tool. I think it's going to be really nice, especially for when we're transferring to other bodies and stuff. I don't have to like zoom around and like focus on this planet and then come back and like try to figure out where the node is. And I have to zoom back in and find this stupid thing. Okay, there it is. And then try to click it. It doesn't work. Try to click it again. There it is. And then zoom back out. And I don't have to deal with that. So maneuver node controller, highly recommend. So what does it look like when the alarm clock goes off? What does it do? So to find that out, we're just going to go time acceleration as fast as I can here. And we'll see what the game does. I'm not going to stop it myself, but I'll let the game control what it does. And you can see right there, we're stepping down and it says JewelSat 111 has reached its maneuver. I can go ahead and confirm that for the alarm, and that will get rid of it, of course, in the list. The game remains paused and it looks like it's going to give me 10 seconds to burn. I do wish it would give me more time. However, because the game is paused, it isn't really all that big of a deal. If I wanted to, though, I'm wondering if there is a setting, and I'll have to go in and check if there's a setting where I could give it, let's say, 1 minute before maneuver. That would be more helpful because I can easily control that myself once I get here. And if I have a craft that has, let's go with, is maneuverably challenged, like I'm relying on a single reaction wheel, and it takes a long time to move towards that and everything. In that event, I would probably want some time to move to point the right direction I want to go. But overall, though, that's not bad. And of course, we can play at 1 time speed. And we want to, of course, face towards the maneuver. So there it is. At a little bit of extra time, right? And then we can go ahead and do that maneuver the way we had planned for it. Using up the fuel, you can see what we've got up here. And then when I get there, I can just fine-tune that just a little bit more if I want to. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal. The important thing is that my PE gets to a reasonable height so that I don't burn up. So I'm going to go about like that, I guess. 195 is fine. All right, so that's how we can use the alarm clock to our advantage, and that's going to tick in regardless of what we do. So as I go around Jewel here to try to get this thing brought in and have a more favorable orbit for me here, as I micromanage this a little bit, I've got alarm clocks for the Eve transfer and for my Duna transfer window and all those types of things ready to go. So whenever it happens, the game actually pauses, allows me to move to another craft and get situated. So again, I would prefer it if it gave me like a minute, but 10 seconds is fine as long as the game is paused. All right, cool. So I'm going to keep going around this here and getting captured and just trying to get myself a better orbit, and I'll be right back. All right, we're at year 7, day 197, and that's about when our alarm clock's going to hit. So right there, Eve Station is changing sphere of influence. We get that alarm. So we know that right about now, our station is reaching Eve. Now, we have a couple of days, I would think, before that actually hits there. And getting in here is about 2 days away. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get here, do this. It just says right here, Eve Station just entered Eve's sphere of influence. We want to get here and do this pass, and then that's it. All right, so we're gonna stop after this pass. Because again, we should have enough time for that. It takes a few days once you get to Eve's sphere of influence for you to actually meet up with Eve. So let's go in right about here. And we know that this pass is the last pass. And we're going to go in and, yep, celestial body, that's fine. We can go ahead and pull in our solar panels, make sure we're facing retrograde. And then we just time accelerate into this bad boy. Right about like that. It's going to switch me to physics time warp. There we go. And I'm a little bit concerned, right? So far, I've been pretty lucky. If I had to go back and do this over again, I would say if you don't want to have a risk of this whole thing, being lost on you, you should change your inclination. Oh, that's really quick. Oh, time acceleration, right? You should change your inclination kind of a little bit later than I did. Because at any one of these passes, you can get an encounter with Val, Lathe, or Tylo. And Tylo would be the worst case scenario. You don't want an encounter with Tylo. Of all the places that you could get an encounter with this setup, Tylo would be the worst one to get one. Because Tylo will really screw up your orbit. It will screw up all your plans. All right, so just don't bother with that. Am I out already? I'm already out. Oh, okay. I'm like, why is this not having any effect? No, we're done. Okay, so far it looks like this pass, nothing there. We're gonna want to come to about here. I'm gonna create a maneuver really quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and grab our alarm clock and just get an alarm for that maneuver so that we know where it is. We don't need the maneuver actually there. We just want an alarm clock to warn us when our craft is getting right here. Okay, so next we go out. We're gonna find our Eve vessel, and let's see what's going on over at Eve now, guys. Let's control Eve Station 12. Oh shit! I love that. All right, run the experiments. We are really high above Eve. At least we should still be pretty high. Yep, we got some time. All right, sphere of influence is way out here, so we've used the last couple of days to travel this far. We're still really high above Eve. Should be able to run all the experiments. And I'm guessing they're probably worth quite a bit. So let's just take a look and see if any of them are here. We have the regular crew observations. We can transfer those. 200 science. We got the radiation sample running high above Eve. Now we do have our location right now says Seas. So that's good. That's a pretty big biome, I would assume, that the Seas is pretty big. And that's probably why this experiment is still running. We're going to get a pretty inclined orbit here. And based on what I'm looking at, I guess I misread this. I guess I read this the opposite of what it actually is. Going in like this is your exit. So we're actually coming in retrograde, which isn't great, but we can switch that. That's fine. As long as we get in where we're barely captured, we can flip that really, really quickly. Radiation measurements are worth 800 science. That's wild. Love it. Let's transfer that. Or transmit that. We should still be over the seas, so this is still running. I don't know if it'll complete, though. 6 minutes is a long time for an experiment to run and to have it be over the same biome and everything. Aldorf, with your wonderful singing voice. Let's see what happens here, buddy. Just going to go EVA. Let's go ahead and let's get your jetpack out. There we go. Want to make a crew observation from space? Maybe we can get away from our craft a little bit here. Maybe make this crew observation, Obviously, it's going to be the same crew observation we've already done, which is a little weird. I would think the EVA report would be worth a little more. But it's fine. It's not worth a little bit more. All right, getting back in. And I think Aldorf was actually the one that was in this star lab, right? So I think the experiment actually paused while he was outside. It might have been a little bit of a mistake, but it's all right. All right, how far until we get here? It's 0 to... Okay, so just a few hours. That's fine. We'll go a little bit more time warp here. We probably are going to move to a new biome in this time. We did move to a new biome, but we completed the orbital survey before doing so. So that's crazy. And we have the orbital survey data here, so we can go ahead and do that too. So there's another 700 science on board this. Very cool. High orbit Eve. We got that done. So now we need to go get low orbit with the space star lab. Yeah, that's what it's called. Space lab. So let's go to this point now. Get down there a little bit further. There we go. And I think I wanted to try to plan this out. This is a very easy maneuver. Should be pretty straightforward as long as we don't go too deep. We're at 86 is our periapsis, which is pretty fine to me. We'll just use our maneuver node planner here. So this is the... I'm not sure what this is. What node is this? This isn't our node. This is a blank node. I don't know what that is. Let's add another node here. We want to go periapsis. There we are. And then we want to go retrograde just a little bit. I think we can take bigger steps here. There we go. And if we go just by like 1 meter per second steps, we want to get barely captured, basically. So right about there. And we just go a little extra just for good measure. But this is about what we want, because it lets us aerobrake for the maximum. We can keep our delta V, but also when we get way up here, we'll be able to flip our orbit so that we're prograde. I want to make sure that we are going the same direction as Gilly with this station. So, and the same direction as the natural rotation of Eve. So when we get up here, we'll switch our orbit, and it'll be much cheaper to do up here than it will be if we get down. I mean, it's impossible for us to do if we get it down the low orbit. So that will be what our maneuver is here. It's 124 meters per second to get captured. But honestly, I don't think it's going to be even that much, because I'm not sure that's taking into account the fact that we're about to be in the atmosphere to aerobrake. All right, let's get down low, 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 low. I'm not sure when low space happens. Maybe 400 kilometers. There it is, 400 kilometers. Okay, so we want to run all of our science again. We're currently over the seas once more. That's pretty good. Let's make sure we're facing retrograde. And let's transmit any science we have while we're doing others. So we get our crew report, all that stuff. Let's just make sure we get all these other things transmitted so that I don't have to have them in the list. I don't like having buttons that aren't. I want all the green check marks. Yep, give me all the green check marks. Even if we don't get any new science for it, we're going to clear it off the list that way. So there's 868 samples that have to be returned, but that's another reason for the fact that it's a station. We're going to be here later anyway. We want to have the orbit to be correct direction. All that stuff. So we'll get down to... That's good. Is that the... is that this? No. We need to resume this. So we were only there for 10 seconds in low orbit. That's okay. We'll have plenty of time. We're doing it on the seas, because that's the biggest biome. We'll have plenty of time to get that experiment wrapped up. The radiation measurements in low orbit are worth 1120. I am so happy we have those radiation experiments before coming here. That's really cool. And now I can't imagine, like, it's going to be really cool to see what it's like for, you know, the surface and everything. This thing stopped again. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to resume it. At least not yet, but it's fine. We're at 157. I think it's about time we get ourselves prepared for our little incursion into the atmosphere here. This is the most dangerous part of this journey, is right here. So we're going to get all of our stuff tucked in, nice and tight, get it all wrapped up, make sure we're facing retrograde, and make sure everything's good. Thrust limiters up to 100%. There we go. And let's F5 this, just in case. We're only going in 86. And that's not very far, but I think even with that, it's going to get hot. I believe anyway. Just going in that far is going to get hot. Atmosphere on Eve starts at 90 kilometers. So let's make sure we tilt ourselves down, and we are in atmosphere. Let's run all the science we can in the atmosphere right now. Let's get our crew observations. We can't transmit it yet because we don't have the thing, and already we are getting hot. We are already there, man. Ooh, boy. I'm just going to burn a little bit here. It's not going to have a huge effect on our speed. I just want to make sure we're captured. I think that'll be enough to do it. Yeah, we're already there. I think. No, we're not. Nope, we're not there yet. Let's burn again. Burn some more. Bring it around. We're almost out of the atmosphere now. And we are now out of the atmosphere, and we are captured. Good. Okay. So that takes care of that part. That's the most dangerous part. And honestly, we probably could have went in even a little deeper, but I came in with so much fuel just to make sure we were good. All right, additional experiments in progress now over Eve as we make our way around. We're still over the low orbit foothills now. And apparently that's where this is going to run. The radiation stuff up here. I mean, we already did these things, so I guess it's probably fine to just let it go for a bit. And we want to make a maneuver at the apoapsis this time. We can do that with this. Let's just do it with this to see. So right here, we want to add our node at the apoapsis. That's where that's going to go. We could also do it here, but we're going to do it there instead. And I want to go retrograde. And I want to go retrograde really fast. Enough to where we flip our orbit to go around this way. And that brings our periapsis to 41, which is death. So let's not do death. Let's bring it up to 95. And then we can maybe adjust this back to 0.2 here, and then we're going to go prograde just a little bit and dip ourselves in at 88. I think 88 is a pretty good one. Get a little bit more time in the atmosphere to run those experiments, and we can circularize ourselves kind of for free. Now, we do, again, I want to get the same inclination as Gilly for this station. It allows me to get over top of individual biomes as we have a slightly inclined orbit, but I want to be matched up with Gilly. So we're going to set Gilly as the target. And we have a lot of corrections to make, but we also have a lot of fuel to make them. And I'm thinking probably a good orbit for this station is about maybe 200. I think maybe 200 kilometers. It'd be still low orbit. It wouldn't be high orbit, and that's okay. We could even make it to be like 350 or 380 or something, like right on the tip of being high orbit. We could even do that with the station, but generally the lower we get, I think, is going to be better for what we want to do. Maybe not. I could be wrong on that. All right, so this maneuver is in 4 days, and I'm thinking our alarm clock is going to trigger here. Day 207, we're on day 200. So this maneuver comes first before this does. And we'll know it because, the alarm clock will tell us anyway. So why don't we go ahead and face towards that maneuver? Is there any more signs to transmit? Let's see. We don't have our comms out, so let's get our comms dish back out. And we have observations of the atmosphere we can transmit. So as soon as the comm is deployed, we'll get a signal back and we can go ahead and transmit that. There we are. Yep, everything's looking good. Okay. So we're facing towards our maneuver in the future right now. And then we can just go like this. All right. Way up there. Let's go just a little bit closer. 40 seconds. So our orbital speed right now is just 88 meters per second, which is why it's very cheap to change this up here. Later on, our orbital speed is going to be thousands of meters per second, and then that will be basically impossible for us to switch it. So if we're going to want to switch it, we need to do it when we're really high up. So we do that by basically burning retrograde from this point until retrograde becomes prograde. So we'll just do that. I can do this nice and slow. Don't have to do it real fast. We basically kill our speed to where it's essentially 0, and then we start accelerating in the opposite direction. And we are pretty much good to go. Now we're a little bit too far, so we're going to want to go retrograde again. Because we are out of the atmosphere. I want to have that periapsis be in the atmosphere still. Although, if we were to change, yeah. So see, right now Gilly's ascending node and descending node is way down here. It's not great. We want to change that too, probably. We're just going to go retrograde a little bit here and try to get that periapsis to be just under 90. Well, I certainly went too far there, didn't I? I mean, yes, I could thrust limit. I just figured I had a gentle enough touch to do it, and apparently I did not. All right, so I'm going around and around, right? Going back and forth between the Eve craft and this satellite, trying to get everything in orbit. Having two crafts aerobraking at the same time is probably not advised. And the worst case scenario happens. We have an encounter with Tylo. A very close encounter with Tylo. On the wrong side of Tylo. So on this side of Tylo, if we hit this side of Tylo, it's going to accelerate us and kick us out for a gravity assist way out into solar. We don't want that. I burned a little bit retrograde to try to move it. It is moving a little bit, but we go this side of Tylo. Then it slows us down enough to where we will plummet into Joule, which is, I guess, also not great. So we definitely want to burn enough to where we no longer have to deal with Tylo. So that's what we're going to do. And that gives us 84 meters per second remaining. I have no idea if that actually gets us away from Tylo, but we're getting to the point now where these encounters are increasingly more likely. So we want to go ahead and add an alarm clock right there for this maneuver. So we have that in there. And then I'm going to time accelerate, I think slowly, manually. Because you can tell this thing to do something, and it will say, hey, there's no encounter there, but it can change its mind mid-flight. I've seen it do it. So right, ooh boy, look at that. Just enough to where we don't get any encounter. I mean, we basically did though, didn't we? I mean, that was pretty much in there, but turns out it wasn't. All right, good. There we go. Now, what day does our Eve thing happen? Let's see. Alarm clock. Eve is on day 219. So that's pretty much at the same time. Shit. It's pretty much at the same time. This is what I was afraid of, is doing two crafts aerobraking at the same time. It ain't great. So we're probably going to get the alarm. Joule stat reaches it. Yeah, we know that. We're probably going to get the alarm triggering here while we go in here, but I don't know. Maybe if we take less than an hour, we should be all right. Yeah, we're going to take less than an hour in here. It's fine. We're in here so light that I can leave the solar panels out. I'm not getting any heat buildup or anything with the solar panels out, so that's okay. If I was going to leave it to its own self while going and looking at Eve, I would probably want to tuck them in. But for now, so far anyway, it's been fine to just leave them out. We're not getting any heat effects while here. And I realize this is a really slow way of doing things, but I'm doing it this way specifically because I want an encounter with Lathe. And I want to slow us down, really controlled. I've got over 10,000 science on this probe. I don't want to take any chances whatsoever. And that's why we're doing it this way, really nice and slow. So 194 is fine. Let's go ahead and get another maneuver there, and that's going to get us to our alarm clock. There we go. You now delete that maneuver and probably switch over to Eve now, since that maneuver is going to happen before this one does. So we can switch over to the one in Eve now. And I think this is the thing about alarm clock, you know, like it really gives me a lot more confidence in being able to do this, right? Being able to do all these things. So I think at this point, we're going to want to bring this in. I don't think we need to go way out anymore. I think we can bring this in. So we're going to set up a maneuver right here and go retrograde. And, you know, we can burn 134. That's not really all that big of a deal. The biggest thing is I want to make sure, again, we can change our inclination later. That's going to be the biggest thing. And so I think, maybe we could start it. I wonder what it would cost me. So this is our ascending node and descending node. They're all very close to Eve because of the angle we came in. But if I start this at the ascending node, just make sure that that is at the ascending node or descending node. It doesn't really matter which one, I guess. Yeah, descending. Is that? Wait. E and T. What's that? What's the E and T thing? Oh, I think descending node to target or descending node to the entity. Ah, okay. I think maybe this is where we need to be for 0 degrees on Eve, and this is where we need to be to zero out Lathe. Is that what I'm seeing? I'm not sure how to read that. But since this is descending, we're going to want to ascend. And so if we were to do something like this, we'll get ourselves ejected. But if we go retrograde at the same time, and get recaptured. This is very expensive. You see why I brought so much fuel. We can get ourselves maybe something like this. And we're gonna come up a little bit more. And that gets our periapsis to 86, which is safer. So for 957, we can bring our orbit in to be very close to Gilly. It's not even very close to Gilly, honestly. We still have to adjust it. Yeah, it's not really happening yet. I think it's not going to be worth doing yet. I mean, our angle is so extreme compared to Gilly. I really should have done this. If I was planning to be that way, I should have done it earlier, right? Because this is our target. Yep. All right. Well, in any case, we have over 2,000 meters per second. So I feel like, let's see. Also, somebody said I could see the mass by hitting this little bar here. And like, I'm not sure that's like, is the start tonnage, is that the mass of the craft start tonnage? So I guess that's it. So right now we're 46.2, very, very small numbers. Tons, 46.2 tons. And then when we get over here, we'll be at 7 tons. Is that how I'm supposed to read that? So thank you for that tip. I'm just looking at it and seeing how that works. Again, I still think it should definitely be in, you know, an engineer's report or in a dedicated window, parts manager or something. I just hate the parts manager in general, but all right, so I want to come in. Let's time warp to this point here. I think I'll wait one more time or one more turn to get our inclination changed. And it might even help to shift the orbit around, to be honest. Like, it might help to like have a maneuver over here that burns that way to shift that orbit over. I'm not sure if it'll be worthwhile, but if we can somehow get it to, it's just not going to, is it? Yeah, it's just not. We're just in the wrong place. I think in order to do this properly, I'm going to have to circularize. So we'll just end up circularizing it once we're at the right altitude. Fine. That'll just be how it is. Okay, so Eve Station reaches the maneuver. Yep, that's what we wanted. And we'll go ahead and take a look at this. Zoom down to get closer to where we want to be. So that's about 100 and let's just go 100. All right, we'll go down to 100. There we go. Make sure we're facing retrograde still. Let's pull in our solar panels. No, that would be extending them. I would like to collapse them, please. Thank you. Okay. The dish as well. Let's bring that in. All right, here we go. We are now just out of the atmosphere and begin our descent once more. Now, so we're only going to 87 here. So we're not going very deep in. I probably could adjust that to go in maybe 84, 85 again, because I think there's definitely value in going deeper. We have no heat buildup here, so there's no reason to be this shy on it. So I'm going to keep going with this. I know it's just back and forth the entire video. We're going in the atmosphere and we're aerobraking. I don't want this to be an aerobraking episode, but it's pretty much an aerobraking episode. So why don't we skip all this? Now I'll come back when I'm kind of like down on both of these places, roughly where I want to be. It's going to take me a while, but I think there's not a whole lot of value in showing you this stuff over and over again. So let me do all that and I'll be right back. All right, I think this is probably the last pass I'm going to do for Joule. I've been going around for a while. We're down to here. I've set Lathe as my target to kind of get a feel for where it's going to be. And it looks like, you know, we're going to miss it this pass. But if I have any hope of actually hitting this at any point in time, I don't want to drop the orbit too far from where it is. So I think this is, like I said, I think this is my last pass here. And just kind of let it go. I'm not going to spin it around or anything like that. And then what we're going to do is at the apoapsis, you can see actually the slowdown we're doing here is bringing us closer together. Ooh, that's a little interesting. I don't think there's any chance that I can get there though. Nah, it's not going to happen. But can see like there's a chance that this can be a good encounter, and it won't be very fast, which means it will be very cheap to slow myself down and maybe get even orbit of Lathe, which would be kind of cool, actually. If I just ended up in orbit of Lathe instead of Jewel, I'd be all right with that, honestly, as long as the probe is safe. So what we're going to do here, I got 245, so there's like a day until the Eve encounter goes again. I think what I'm going to do here, since it doesn't take a day to get to these points, we're going to go and set up a maneuver now at the apoapsis that I've got here. And I think I'm going to add just a little bit of prograde to this, just enough to get it to where my periapsis is out of the atmosphere. And then this will be my orbit for this probe. And then at some point, we're going to get an encounter with Lathe. And when we do, we can make that fine adjustment, try to get into the atmosphere of Lathe, see if we can't get an orbit maybe, and maybe get the atmospheric readings for this and be able to send some data back for Lathe with this probe too. I think that'd be a pretty good thing. So we're going to just go ahead and, well, at least I thought we could. Oh, I got to get out of the time lapse. Okay, now I can go and do this. We're going to face towards the maneuver here. And we'll get up to about here. And I think, you know, it's less than 1 meter per second. Like, we're just going to go down one little bit of thrust here. No big deal. And 1%. And then we're just going to do this until the periapsis is out of the atmosphere. So we're just going to go like this. Raise it up ever so slightly at far less than 1% thrust. And we are now in orbit, like full orbit of Jewel. And we don't have to worry about anything. So we're going to stay with this orbit indefinitely now. Let's make sure we get our solar panels out too. We'll stay here indefinitely until our encounter happens with Lathe. We're going to have to keep an eye on this, but this is kind of how it's going to be, I think. We're going to let this orbit go. And then if there's anything to transmit from now, I think we should do it. There's, like, again, 10,000 science worth of samples on this probe. So it's a very important probe, a very expensive probe now to lose. But on the plus side, Lathe is the only planet we have to worry about because it is the one we're trying to get to is the closest one. So we don't have to worry about, you know, like if we were trying to get to Val, for example, we would want to line up with that. But then there's always a chance that Lathe gets in the way. We don't have that this time. It's just Lathe. And we're good there. Okay. So alarm clock shows Eve station's going to be in a couple of hours. So I'm just going to transition to that and get that one in orbit. And if this happens, I'll cue you back in. Okay. So we've gone around Jewel a couple more times and we're actually getting an encounter now with Lathe. Now, this encounter is not great because it's coming on this side. I'd like it to be on the dark side instead here. Or rather the Jewel side, not the dark side. It doesn't really matter where the sun is. I'd rather it come in on the Jewel side because at this side, it's going to fling us off into space. It's going to widen our orbit out, and I don't want that. The other matter is 50 kilometers is where the atmosphere is, and we're going to be traveling like 30, like we're going to be traveling over like 3,000 plus meters per second as we zoom in here. And that's not great either. And unfortunately, since I'm out of the atmosphere already here, this is like where we're going to be. So the only way I can avoid this right now is to basically get myself back into the atmosphere here and aerobrake one more time. And I'm already thrust limited, so this will be fine. And if I get myself into Jewel's atmosphere a little bit here, what I'm hoping happens is that we see this orbit get closer, or, you know, at least maybe shift over onto this side, if nothing else. That's what I'm looking for here, because I don't want to get flung out like this. The most important thing is that we don't blow up. That's the most important thing we could possibly do with this rocket, with this probe, because it's like 10,000 science on it. I don't want to blow up. So let's navigate this way. And again, I don't exactly know how much of an effect this is going to have on this, but we're going to have to make a choice here, basically. Is Lathe worth it? I think with the speed that we're going to go, and I'm willing to talk about this in the comments if you want to. The speed we're going to be going into Lathe. The atmosphere is less than Kerbin, but still formidable. Like, it's still something that you should respect. Gravity is, I think, 0.8 Kerbin, right? And then the atmosphere is like 3/4 Kerbin, something like that. Somewhere around there. It's like, I'm rounding probably. And so with the parts we have on this thing, I say we lose our engine. I say something's going to burn. And actually, maybe not even the engine. Maybe it's this. Right? This thing's really fragile, and we see this thing heat up all the time. And so I'm not really thinking that it's possible to safely get Lathe, is what I'm saying, because of where we are. Now, if we go around this one more time and we lower our... Oh, my God. Come on, camera. All right. Wow. We go through this one more time and we lower our orbit a little bit more to where maybe we just barely get in there on this side of Lathe, then that would be our slowest point, and then maybe we could get ourselves in orbit. You know, there might be a chance, but we're a little early, as I guess what I'm saying is we're getting in a little bit early, and I think we're coming in a little bit fast. So maybe it's better to not get Lathe right now. We only have 81 meters per second of delta V. It's basically nothing. And I mean, we can make some changes far away, but we're not going to be able to use our engines in any meaningful way to get ourselves captured, is what I'm going with here. So let's get our solar panels out of here. I'm actually not sure how... We're at 92,000 now, so we're also going slower than usual. Before we were at 94, and we were getting heating effects, but we were also over 8,000 meters per second. Now we're 7,500. That's definitely slower, and the atmosphere is slowing us down even more. So I don't think we're going to be at a super big worry here. And I can still do this. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of heat effects, but like whatever. I can still move this around and try to have the atmosphere affect me as much as possible there. And let's zoom out and see what happens there. So we're getting... Looks like we're going to get this encounter no matter what. So we are... Unless I burn now. Like, hypothetically, let's say I burn retrograde now. Well, that gave us a 17, 18, 22, 26, 30, 34, 40. We can get an encounter. A really, really tight one. Right there. Ooh. Now that one's a little better. Because that one is really tight. That's coming in retrograde. And it's also... I don't know about that, man. Like, we're going to need this to be... Like a little bit of atmosphere, like a tiny bit of atmosphere, you know? Like a little tiny, teeny, tiny bit of atmosphere. Maybe this will be okay. We get a little bit, right? Like, I think it can work, right? It could work. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. Tell you what, let's burn retrograde and find out. Oh. Careful. Careful. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, you know, it's not all that bad. Again, we're going to be coming in really hot. Coming in really fast here, but if we could just give the atmosphere a little kiss, we might be okay on Lathe. We could be fine. And this could give us the chance, anyway, to just aerobrake the very small amount that's needed to make this happen. Now, right here is where we need to be. So this is the Lathe PE. So if I was to put another maneuver here, this is the Lathe PE. If I was to go retrograde at the Lathe PE, we need a little bit more than 72 meters per second, but that extra could be coming from the atmosphere there. That little extra that we need. I wish it would let me make the maneuver beyond my fuel just so I could see how much off we are. But I think if we come in like this, we got a shot. Now, the downside is this is too shallow. Like this is 38,000. I know the numbers are really small. Sorry, that's still a problem. I haven't been able to mod that away. That's 38,000 is what it says. And you know, like 38,000 is it's kind of, well, it's death. I mean, we're gonna die with that. So we don't want to go like that. So if I bring this out, you're not changing anything. Okay, well, you are, but you're not showing me what you're changing. That's the problem. You're over here now. I need to see this. This is the part that's really confusing about this, right? I need to see this number. So I need to change that number and make that number be so about there. Just barely anything. So like really it's just a simple little tiny burn again. So if I take this thrust limit down to 2%, come back over to lathe, because we're getting an encounter anyway. I wasn't able to remove us from the encounter with lathe, so we're going to get a lathe encounter anyway. And if we're going to get it anyway, we might as well make the best of it if we can. So this looks like it's coming in here and leaving here. So this is a retrograde orbit, which is what we want. It means we're not going to get flung all out. We're coming in from this side, so we're not going to get flung into the Kerbal orbit or whatever. And if I go retrograde from here, just pick it up a little bit here, right about, oh, stop. Okay, so that's 44, but now a retrograde burn is actually having the opposite effect I want, so we're not going to do it anymore. So 44.7 is where we are there. Okay. Well, we need to do the burn for Eve. I still not the burn, the aerobrake for Eve. I need to do some more Eve aerobraking before we get there, but there's 2 encounters here. Right? 2 encounters here. I had my fingers in the wrong spot. And so with 2 encounters, we're going to bypass. So there's lathe once, right? We're going to bypass this. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to be rude about it. That's a pretty cool. Well, it could have been a cool screenshot. Here we go. It's dark, but hey, it could be a cool thumbnail. What do you think? Cool thumbnail material there? See if I can make it work. Okay, so we're going to approach lathe now for the second time. Just did the aerobrake at Eve. And we're going to come around here. Now, at this point, right about here, we need to look at altering this because this is already going to be too low. So we're just going to barely get in the atmosphere here, or the sphere of influence, sorry. And there we go. So what we want now is we want to raise this up. And the direction to do that, we create the maneuver plan. Pretty sure it's just going that way. So we'll just face that way. And we're going to go real light here, assuming my engines are not at 100%. They're at 2%. Very good. We're just going to go a little bit that direction and raise our periapsis up. And honestly, I'm thinking I don't want to go any lower than 49. In fact, I think 49 might even be just a little bit too low still. Lathe's atmosphere, it'll get you if you're not careful or you don't have the right parts. I think that's the main thing for me, is that this vessel does not have the right parts to do this, right? The whole plan was to get captured by Jewel, which has a much bigger gravity well and is much easier to aerobrake to get captured with. Lathe, we have to be more aggressive unless we come in just right. And I think that this is coming in just right. I think. I don't know that, but I think that's what we're doing. So 49,235. Let's do 49.3. Let's do that. 49.3. Okay, we want to go ahead and remove the limitations on the thrust. Let's go retrograde from there. Get rid of this. And this is it. We're just going to go and do it now. So we can get our experiments out, although I don't think it will matter because we're not going to be in the atmosphere very long anyway, but we're going to run it anyway. We might as well just run it. And let's see what happens. Worst case scenario here, we explode. Best case scenario, we survive with every single part. I'm hoping that that's the case, of course, but if there's anything in between, what I'm hoping we lose, maybe I'll actually leave 2 solar panels out. If I leave 2 solar panels out, that gives me increased drag, and then these parts might be the ones that die. It might help a little bit with the heat against the dish. I don't want to lose the dish. The dish and the engine are 2 things I don't want to lose. The engine's a little bit more robust than this, but I'm kind of thinking if I can't seem, it doesn't seem like I can put 1 in. It's either all or none, which is a little bit weird, and I don't like it. Like, how do you target only 1 solar panel? You know? Like I have all of these open. But they all close. Or like it's all or nothing. It's weird. I don't like it. If you know how to do that, let me know. I'm sure there's a way. It's just not immediately obvious because the parts manager is, well, it's not very good at managing parts. Yeah. All right. So here we go. We're getting down there. I am looking at 112, 111. And you know what? We're on the dark side anyway. So let's bring those panels in. And once more, where's my experiment? Right here. Now, we might have to do our little roll around thing to prevent things from actually heating up too much. So I'm going to babysit this thing. 49,300 is all we're going in. If I need to burn near the periapse, I will. But I need to keep like at least maybe 15, 20 delta V. Because if we do get captured, at the apoapsis, I need to have a little bit left to get us out of the, to get the periapse out of the atmosphere. All right, ready to rock? Whew. Quick saving right here. Let's go. Let's get in there. And we're gonna hit this button right now over the ocean. And let's see. Am I just being foolish? Or is this actually dangerous? Let's see. 49,300. We're not getting a whole lot of heat effects here. That's okay. And again, if I burn retrograde right now, see where it's starting to pull us around. I like it, but it's not quite fast enough. Just burn a little bit here. Give me capture. Come on. Come on, capture. Come on, capture. 35, 32, 30, 24, 15. Oh, yeah, baby. 16 left. We did it. Oh, man. That was really... I was nervous as hell. Oh, my God. Look at this. What? Did you almost overheated? I didn't even see that. How did you almost overheat? Well, I'm glad we didn't go deeper. I'm also a little bit timid now about going back in because now we're down to 49.2. But it's not flashing. I don't know why it's actually staying like that, though. We could get our panels back out. Oh, boy. Quick save that. And now we're around Lathe. Now, the experiment we're running, right, is that let's get back out into the sun, shall we? I know you guys like to see things. The experiment we're running is right here. And so I can't see how much time is left on it, but we weren't in the atmosphere for very long. I have to hope that when we go back in, when we dip back in, that we dip back in a position or in a spot where it's the same biome, right? I think we did it over the seas, which is the biggest biome they have. So there's a good chance we'll be able to complete that sniffer objective. I really don't see why it has to be biome specific, but it is what it is. Now, this is, of course, a retrograde orbit. So when we come in here to pick up this thing, we're going to have to go retrograde too, but we'll be ready. We'll be coming in over-equipped, I think, for that. So, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. And then if we wanted to get out of the atmosphere, it's very, very fast. It's like right there. That's it. It's 5 meters per second. And we will be way outside the atmosphere and good to go. So We didn't burn up on the way in. And we should have a decreased speed coming through the second time. So we shouldn't have any heat problems, which means we can now use this probe and aerobrake ourselves to circularize around Lathe this time. We're ever so slightly inclined. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot for biomes there, but we're very equatorial. So all in all, I think that went really well. Yeah, I think it did. Let's maybe put a maneuver here so we can add it to the alarm clock. There we go. And based on that, the alarm clock says we'll be able to do our thing before the Eve station does. Cool. So let's do it again, huh? Let's get ourselves around all the way out here. We are barely captured, though. Look at that. That is as close as you could possibly be. I don't think you can get any further away from Lathe realistically and not and come back. I don't think so. All right, so same thing here. We're going to go around, get ourselves to about here is fine for now for my quick save stuff. We are in the dark side anyway, so let's go ahead and bring our solar panels back in. We want to find our experiments. Yes, I know it's dark. Man, I really wish if there was one mod I would love, it would be to increase the ambient light. I would love to get back to the point where you guys can see things a little easier on YouTube. I would love that because it seems like a lot of our stuff that we do, it's just the way it lines up. It's just the timing of it happens at night. And there's not a whole lot I can do about it without putting a whole bunch of lights on the crafts. And I keep forgetting to do that. That's my bad, but it's a probe. A probe doesn't need lights on it. You know, it's just a little probe out in the middle of space. So it's more like a necessity thing. Like the Kerbals, the Duna craft and stuff, I put probes on. I put lights on that. I just never used them. So that one was really my bad. But hopefully you can at least see something here. All right, here we go. Once more into Lace's atmosphere. And this time, we're not going to use... Yep, run it. Okay, over the seas, over the ocean, sorry. So that's minute 30 left on that. Okay. Now, I want to take a look at my apoapsis. It's coming in. We just need to be able to pass enough times to run the experiment. And then at that point, I don't even care. I'm just going to, like... Well, I mean, there's no point in not circularizing. I guess I could circularize it, but it's okay. So we're coming back up now. And that dish does get hot, doesn't it? It sure does. Wow, it gets way up there. This is barely. Like, I would say if we went any deeper, we might have lost our dish. That's nuts. That's pretty crazy. All right, I think I need to check in. Probably need to check in on Eve now, maybe. I don't know. Let's come over here, create the maneuver, go alarm clock, add. Actually, I think we can do this one again. Yeah, we're gonna be able to stick around here. Cool. All right, we just went through the atmosphere again. This dish is getting real hot. It is like damn near close to burning up, and it's because our periapsis just drops a little bit every single time. I don't think I'm comfortable going back in. It just really briefly went and flashed at me and then it stopped. So I think that's done. However, good news, everyone. Atmospheric samples around Lathe are done. Very cool. So I've gone around 4 times. So I don't know how many I'm showing you because I need to cut these videos. I can't just show everything. But we're up about like this now. So I think at this point it's very safe to go to the apoapsis and just like raise it up and be done. And then I can focus entirely on Eve. I can always come back here and try to, play around with it a little bit again and just give it some time. But also this 16 meters per second that I've got left could be useful in Rendezvous later too. Maybe one of our crafts is just a little bit off and I can move it with this one. I have no idea, but 16 meters per second is all we have left. And I have all the science I can get from this now. So we transmit this atmospheric data. It's 120. And let's open up our panels again. It's just 120 science there. The sample is worth another 280. And so we end up with 10,360 science in samples. That's just bonkers, man. Just bonkers. There's so much science to be gotten on this little probe. I'm proud of you, little buddy, who somehow still has a very hot antenna and a very hot dish. But if we come over to the apoapsis here, I can just... I'm just going to burn there. So let's just accelerate time to that part. Am I not able to? Oh, we're still in physics. Hang on. There we go. Now I can do it. Let's do that. Of course, I want to face towards the maneuver. Check my... Right here. Yep, let's bring this down to like 3%. Nothing much. And we just want to point prograde. And if we can get our PE above 50, we win. Pretty much. So burn that. Little tiny bit. Basically not even 1 dV. Yeah, and we're well over 50. Let's just go like 50.1 there. We are now officially in a safe orbit around Lathe. With the science, we can come here to get this thing. And it's slightly inclined, which is cool. We can maybe we get our Kerbals slightly inclined, then we have our pick of a little bit more flexibility on, you know, which biome and stuff we want to land on later. We'll come back with a heat shield, right? And parachutes and stuff, and I think that'll be fine. Okay, so it's time for me to go back to Eve now and finish that little bit. I'll be right back. All right, so I've been aerobraking around Eve for a very long time. Let's just call it a very long time. No exaggerations. I've probably dipped into the atmosphere about 40 times right now. That's what needed to happen, though, in order for this stupid engine not to overheat. Because my God, the heat effects that they have on this game is just getting hot, you know. And every once in a while, I have less delta V now. Every once in a while, like after you go through this about 8 times or so, your periapsis has dipped since you slowed down. So at the apoapse, you got to just burn a little bit just to keep it in a safe range. And so I'm trying to keep it around 85K. Seems to be the mark here, where if it dips below 85K, well, my engine starts beep, 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 beep at me. And this gets red. I've had it flash at me a couple of times, but it hasn't really exploded yet. But it's been crazy, man. Speaking of crazy, let's get the solar panels back out on this path here. We're down like this now. So respectable orbit. I'd like to, of course, get in the same plane as Gilly is what I was looking to do, right? So if I set Gilly as the target, I think probably right here is a good spot to start. We can do this incrementally. We don't have to do it all in one big go. So if I create a maneuver plan here, this is the ascending node. So I want to descend. And we can go about, say like that. Like little bits at a time are going to be more efficient than trying to do it all at once. So I'm thinking maybe we start with this. And I'm not sure what that's going to get me. I'm not entirely sure if this is the correct node. It looks like my periapsis will be 98 here, so we'll be out of the atmosphere, which is fine. I'm honestly tired of aerobraking right now. I really hope you guys like this frickin' video, because I've spent the entire day sitting here. All right? It's almost 5 p.m. I've been here since 10 a.m. That's nearly 7 hours of aerobraking. I hope you're enjoying this. You guys don't have to sit through that, though. Thankfully, you guys don't have to sit through that. So, yeah, commitment. All right, hit the like button. Become a member. This is the kind of content y'all pay for, right here. You guys are YouTube Premium. You don't even have to wait for ads for it. I'm jealous. All right, so we're gonna do a little burn here. This is again the ascending node for Gilly. So we're gonna end up pointing down here. And just try to correct this a little bit. And in so doing, it will take our periapse out of the atmosphere. Finally, no more aerobraking. I have 1900 meters per second. If I can't get an inclination of Gilly, which I'd like to, but if I can't do that, then at the very least, I can get equatorial. I think I can probably get there that fast. So. Okay, so I don't think I don't have any thrust limiters or anything on, so because it says it's a 7-second burn, so that can't be thrust limited. So we're just gonna burn a little bit here, move our orbit just a little bit, and we'll call it a day. I can go a little further, that's fine. So we're still off by 27 degrees. It's so expensive to fix this. Our periapsis is now firmly out of the atmosphere, though, thankfully. So over here is the descending node, and we can just use this tool as well. So add a maneuver. Want to go to the descending node, and that must be here. So I don't know what E is. Maybe it's... I honestly don't know. Let me know if you know what this is. ANE and ANT, DNE, DNT. I'm sure I can look that up, you know. But if you just happen to know what it is already, let me know. So anyway, descending node, which means to offset it, we need to ascend. We can do about there. It's 447. And that will get our offset to a little bit here. Maybe if I can... I go... ooh, we want to do retrograde on the other side, though. Yeah. Maybe we'll wait for the ascending node again. Because I'd like to go retrograde here as well. Or maybe we can just shift the orbit, too. That would help, too. If I went descend and shifted the orbit, what does that do for me? Does that help me or hurt me? It hurts me. It hurts me bad. It doesn't hurt me that bad. The plus side is I get closer to circularization, which is kind of what I'm looking for here for this. Another 480. Man, that's so expensive. And I can do this, which gets me a little closer to Eve, too. The closer to Eve I get, though, the more expensive this becomes. So I kind of don't want to do that. I want to... Yeah, I need to go like this. All right, so we're going to go down about here. That puts me at 11 degrees. 10 degrees here. 761. I'm not sure I can get Gilly, guys. Nah, I think I gotta just go for it. Go for the equator. I don't think I can. Oh, wait a minute. That's what that means, isn't it? Is that what that means? That's what that means, isn't it? I think all the people who are going to comment before they watch the full video. I mean, I did ask you, but sometimes it's better to watch the full video just to see if I figure it out. Ascending node, equator. Ascending node, target. Right? That's what that is. I feel like I've already discovered that once, but since it's been multiple days of playing this game, I didn't remember. Sorry. If I've said that before and I already figured it out before, I apologize, but that's the way it is sometimes. So this is the ascending node for the equator, and of course I would want to descend there. Yeah, I feel like that's what I gotta do. I gotta go equatorial here. I just don't have what it takes to do anything else. So I think that's what we're gonna do. So the inclination will end up with right here. I want my inclination to be, 0. That's not at all what I want. Okay, so hold on. So orbits, right? Inclination. We want that to be 0. Or at least as close to 0 as we can get. 0.49 or 0.409. That's basically an equatorial orbit. I like it. I think we just run with that. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So that's going to be our next maneuver. We'll go ahead and point towards that. If we can get Gilly from there, then fine. But I'm looking at my fuel reserves, and I just don't think I could. And this is after, getting down and getting a reasonable orbit with so many passes in aerobrake even. So, I just did not have the fuel. Why are you still honking at me? This game, man. There's just little quirks with it, and sometimes you just got to put up with it. We got pretty close. Is it supposed to burn up, isn't it? I don't have any settings or anything, do I? No, science rewards. Unbreakable joints. Yes, on. Pros require signal. On. Yeah, in case you're wondering what my settings are for this. Tolerance distance for docking, 150%. I don't remember changing any of these, so I think these are just defaults. Infinite propellant, infinite electricity. You can do those if you'd like. Mine are off. Include stock vessels. We turned that off in the first video. We are allowing reverts, allowing quick loads, allowing part overheating. Heat scaling is 100%. Heat enabled on. All the things. Yeah, all the things. I don't know why that thing's still barking at me, though. We're pointed here. Good. So let's go to the maneuver, please. Of course it's on. Well, I thought it was going to be the dark side, but not quite the dark side. All right, we need a 17-second burn here. And what we're looking for is, again, our inclination to be as close to 0% as possible. Or by 0%, I mean 0 degrees. As close to 0 degrees as possible. Go. And I'm just going to watch this number, basically. And if that number says 0, then I'll start laying off of it a little bit. There we go. And we are good. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. That was the maneuver. We did it. We have an equatorial orbit at least. And depends on where do I want to be, I guess. Right? The periapsis here is 155 kilometers. Is that too low? Should I be higher than that? I was thinking like 200. But the other thing about this is like, it's hard enough as is to lift off of Eve. So to have to lift off of Eve and then go higher to get to the station, I don't know about that. I feel like 150 is a pretty good number, actually. So why don't we bring it into 150 here? I think just for shits, I want to see if it's even remotely possible to get this with Gilly. So this is the ascending node. So we want to descend. And maybe 4, 3, 2, 1. You know what? Maybe. That gets me in the inclination of Gilly right there. And I have enough for that. I got enough to do it. Do I have enough to circularize this afterwards, though? That's the other question. So if I do that, my periapsis will be here. And then, can I bring that in? Not really? No, I won't be able to. Yeah, it's really important that we be... It's actually, for me anyway, it's really important that we are like totally circularized here. So I'm going to pass on that. We're just going to go on the equator. It's fine. So we'll create a maneuver plan here. And we're going to go retrograde until we see those two little things flip. There we go. And honestly, I feel like I want to go... Like, look at this. This is 600. Yeah, we needed it. Damn. Damn. I need to aerobrake again, don't I? I do. It's too far away. I need to aerobrake some more. All right. We're going to aerobrake some more to get this down here. Apoapsis right here. Go in until... Well, I don't know when. Just face the maneuver, and we're going to go over there. Mm-hmm. Yep. Come on. You can do it, you pig. Get over. We're going to dip ourselves in the atmosphere. We're going to do this one more time. Actually, realistically, the progress we're making, it's actually closer to 5 more times. But it's free braking. It's free deceleration. And we need to spend a little bit to get back down there. But once we do, it's free deceleration, right? That's what we're looking for. So let's get up there. About 30 seconds to midnight here. There we go. And we're just going to hit a little love tap on this. It's a little more than a love tap. 86 is fine. That's fine. It's nice and safe. I want to be safe. Okay. So now that we're equatorial, let's go in, get our apoapsis down to the 200 area or so. Then we'll lift ourselves back up and we'll fiddle with it. And everything will be fine. And then we just need to deorbit this lower part, all right, which will be very easy to do. And then we'll have a frickin' station after almost 2 years in space. We'll have a frickin' station around Eve. All right, I'll be right back. And of course, while we're aerobraking like this, we're also able to do some science. It hasn't really triggered yet. I think it matters if it's in the shallows. So every time we go over the shallows, no, it's the seas. There it is. One of these was the shallows. I think it was the radiation one that was the shallows, and then this one's the seas. But if I hit that every time, it's like, it's all about the biomes underneath. So it just like really flickers at you. But we did manage to get the radiation survey. I missed it again. The radiation measurements right here. We can get 800 science for that, which is actually really great. We just have to get our, come on, get in the sun, get in the sunlight. There we go. We just have to get the dish to open up here. So if I can find the dish, it's wherever the big thing is, right there. Let's open up the dish. And we'll go ahead and run our experiments again here. I think this one requires, well, at least I thought this one requires the shallows. I think it does, yeah. This, because we're over the seas now and I can't run it. So this one requires the shallows. I'm not sure what the seas was triggering, but yeah, it is what it is. It's fine. But we can go ahead and transfer that. So additional 800 science there. Going pretty good. And we are damn near circularized, all right? I think maybe one more pass. Probably two. I think 2 more passes. And our apoapsis should be down about 200. I think we'll probably circularize it around 200. That seems fine to me. And then from there, the rest of our Delta V could be spent on trying to get inclined with Gilly. And then we'll have another, I don't know, have a little bit of fuel left in the stage. So when we decouple the station, we'll get a whole bunch more Delta V out of the same fuel. So, because there'll be a lot less to push. So I feel like if we leave about 50 in the tank when we decouple, it'll probably lead to us having like 200 or so. When we decouple it, we'll have extra, maybe 100 or so. And that should be enough to get us to re-enter the atmosphere with the engine stage. Should be. And this engine just continues to bark at me about being hot. I don't know, man. Worst case scenario right now is this engine blows up, which is why I've been super careful, right? I've been super careful because if this engine blows up, the only way I will be safe is if I can somehow at apoapsis get my periaps above 90K with this tiny engine, right? This is my backup plan, is to use this tiny, to use the probe to push us at apoapsis and hope that there's enough little bit in here. There's not much there, but I hope there's enough to get us over that 90 mark. And then this station will just be there. But I haven't had to deal with that yet. I've been trying to be very careful with this. Going in only about 85 or so. It goes red, but it doesn't burn up. Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna go one more pass, right? Isn't that what we're doing? I think we're doing one more pass here. So wrap it around. Engine is still doing things. I have no idea if it's gonna die or not. It's real weird. But I'll just keep going with it. Honestly, if it still burns up here, which it's had this entire time in space to cool down, but if it still burns up here, I might just, I might just claim the Kraken and F9 it. I don't know. We'll see. Here we go. Getting down there right about here. I like to give it at least 1,000 meters to reset itself because it takes a little bit to move. All right, there we go. And we're back in the atmosphere again. Hopefully that doesn't climb in addition to what it already is. Normally this doesn't exist when I get into the atmosphere, but now it's like lingering and it's worrying me because it doesn't go away. That's a little bit weird. And now it's climbing just a little bit. And this one's going down. Yeah, I need to do a lot more passes. Maybe I just burn here and get it to where it needs to be. I don't trust this. I don't like it. I'm gonna burn here. Yeah, see that? We damn near lost this thing. It's flashing at me right now. Shit. I don't like it. But now we're at 161. Oh, that's no good. Well, I guess we're gonna be circularizing around 150 then. I just panicked. Yeah, this is bad. I don't like this at all. Ugh. Honestly, it should not be getting this hot. It's just not cooling down. I don't get the thing where it doesn't cool down. And you can be on the very edge of space and still have it blast. Even though there's like no atmosphere at all, it'll still like, it could still just go poof on you. I don't like it. Not one bit. All right, so I think we're gonna do we're gonna go prograde here. Since we're out in space now, I'm not going back in atmosphere. Can I not? You're not gonna let me take my solar panels out? Why not? What's going on? Why can't I have my solar panels? I'm not going back in atmosphere. I don't trust that engine because it's not cooling down. It's not cooling down once it gets out. So again, where's my solar panels and why aren't they? I don't get it. I got Kerbals on board. I don't need a connection. Just extend. I can't extend. That's really weird. I mean, at least I got 8,000 plus units of electric charge, but still, it's very weird that I can't. So we're gonna go a little bit prograde here. Let's push this back up to about 200. I think 200 is a good spot to be. We're gonna go about there. All right, and then when we shift to our prograde, or when we shift to our apoapsis over here, we're gonna just gonna go like that. Have it face. Go ahead and do the science if you can. Even though I still can't extend my solar panels. I don't know what's up with that. All of them too, even the probes ones. Even the probe panels won't extend. Yeah, these are just blanked out. I'm clicking right now and nothing's happening, so I don't know what's going on there. I would say normally I'd be like, oh well, you're in time acceleration, but I'm actually not. So I don't know what's up with that. Let's go to the maneuver real quick. It's probably just one of those simple things where you have to reload it. Have to do another reload. All right, so get out here. You see how it's not cooling down? We're way up here and it's still flashing at me. So I do not want to go back in. Now it'll let me do it. It's bizarre. I'm going to go with it. All right, so we just go, I think like right on the mark. I don't want to raise it up too much. I would love to get like exactly 200. I think that'd be great. And then we could look at it. I think when we're done, we can look at it to see whether or not it's, whether or not we want to go get Gilly or not. All right, so we are at pretty much circularized, just under 200 there. Went a little bit far that time, but that's fine. All right, so yeah, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. It doesn't matter. As long as it's around 200, I'm good. So we are circularized and we are equatorial. We did it. We have a station above Eve. And we're not going back in the atmosphere. I'm done with this aerobraking crap. And this thing is going to get deorbited so it can stop beeping at me. Because that's weird. Let's go ahead and grab our Communitron and get that out there. And we don't need to put it back because we are done. Now, of course, I still want to go into the atmosphere with Eve, right? That's what this probe is for. But we're going to deal with that next video because I've done enough. I need a break. I've done enough for this. But we'll do this next video for sure. And we'll probably deorbit this for sure, too. In the next video as well, because I think I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. But it's been great. We did it. We got an orbit with our probe around Lathe. Did not expect that. I was just hoping to dip into it, get some science, and get out. But we needed to actually get. We didn't have enough Delta V to do both, so we had to choose. You had to commit. You're either going to try to stay on Lathe or you're going to stay on Joule to get your atmospheric stuff. And we already had the Joule atmospheric stuff, so it's like, let's do it. And I'm glad that it worked out. And then there's this. Now, if I wanted to, there's only 384 meters per second left, so I highly doubt we could do this. But in the event that I wanted to go and get the same inclination as Gilly, is it possible? The answer is a resounding no. Absolutely not. Which, I mean, it would have been possible if I didn't have to burn retrograde in the atmosphere there, but I just didn't. I wanted to make sure I wasn't ever having to come back to the atmosphere. So that's it. So we can actually deorbit this stage now. I guess it's probably fine. What I was going to do initially, because I don't think this thing has a lot of fuel, and we have the fuel to do this, I believe. is I was going to, and I guess I wish I had remembered before I circularized, is I was going to deorbit this this probe and then get myself back in orbit and then do this. Like, basically this was going to get ourselves basically to just how we were in atmosphere, dipped in atmosphere, and then we were going to decouple this and let it go. So I actually have to redo that. I'm wondering if I could just reload the quick save. I might just reload a quick save or auto save or something before I circularize this, just because I wanted to make sure that that was happening. This engine is still flashing. I don't understand that. I am curious on what the delta V numbers are for that engine, and it doesn't really tell me what they are. So I'm actually worried that I don't have any. And then that probe is just going to die. We'll find out in the next episode, all right? So take care. We'll see ya. It's been fun. It's been really beautiful, too. Bye-bye.